I am Bénigne Joliet, the very privileged owners of this very magical, very prestigious and special estate, the Clos de la Perrière, Domaine Joliet, who dates from the 12th century, created by the monks in 1142. Exactly, it was the first to make or create the vineyard just here around. They left the house in 1620. After there was different families here, and my family comes here in 1850, 53 exactly. And then I am the 6th generation here, Bénigne Joliet, and on this monopole, Clos monopole, here in Fixin. Winemaking here is very traditional and very special in the same time, because I have one place, one Clos, Clos de la Perrière on 5 hectares. On this 5 hectares there is differences inside. There is a slope and there is a south part, a north part, and a part around the forest, who give an harmony chosen by these monks on the 12th century. And for example, the south part gives more the fruity part, the north part gives more the mineral, and up to the forest the strongness. And my philosophy is to extract the best of each one, my best of each one, my view of the perfect wine, and to recreate this harmony chosen by these monks on the 12th century. Of course, I have my style, and I print, each generation print its style. My philosophy of the best wine is the strong wine with a full body and a very large expression of complexity of different aromas, which mean the very long aftertaste and very complex wine. This is my definition of the best wines. In my quarry, I have two starts, two parts. When I was with my father, and after. With my father, it was very traditional, and we work as with his way and with my way. And after, when I was alone, I really did what I wanted, and especially with the quantities and with the select table inside the winery, and then we increase the precisions. It's not better and worse what I did with my father and after, it's much more precise. And this is the time when the style change a bit, and my print, of course, on this winemaking. And after, of course, with the last generation, we grow now the vineyard as organic, in an organic way, and this is the biggest difference from before. It was not bad or better now, it was the way to think, and now the way to think is much more organic and much more with the transmission of the terroir to the next generation. I think the vintage is not so important now, because we have a very precise techniques and technology to make a great wines each year. And there is a definition of the climate where we had just before. Of course, 21 and 22, for example, was totally opposite. 23, 24 was totally opposite. Very rainy or very dry. I don't think 23 or 22 or 21 are better or worse than each other. Each one have his own personality, and they are both great. The 21 are very delicate and very fruity, instead of 22 was much bigger and have a great complexity too. And then I think there is no more great wines, great vintage or bad vintage. There is vintage with identities, very strong identities. And then There is no real, the most thing for the past 10 years was the accident, climate accident. And it's influenced very much the way to think the wines, like the frost that we didn't knew before. The frost is a big problem now, of course, and to warm the outside, stay an utopia, of course. And so it costs a lot of energy, or it's not very efficient. Today, I just buy a new technology, and there is a research about this technology. We call it UV boosting. It's UVC. It's the inside the sun. There is different UV, and so we light the vineyard with this special UV, and then it's extracts more, and it gives more power and resistance in the vineyard to have this resistance about the frost and about the disease, the mildew and the idiom. We expect that we will have less and less treatment, less spraying of copper or sulfur inside the vineyard, and less influence of this frost with these techniques. Great. Today, this is my technique. This Premier Cru is very special because it's high on the mountain. We call it mountain in Burgundy, but it's only 3 or 400 meters high. But we are in between 300 and 350 meters high, and then it's high compared to the Clos, compared to the Chambertin, who are 200, 250 meters high. And then the maturity of the grape, the dryness is different, and it's have been chosen like that by the monks on the 12th century, and there was in this year scientist, and till today this Clos la Perrière is classified as one of the best vineyards all over Burgundy because of this dryness. When it's very wet, the water comes down, and then it's much more easy to work inside the vineyard just the next day after the big rain. And the grapes are drying faster, and then we have less disease, less mushrooms, and less fungus. About the farming in the way of organic, I use this technique from 2005. Before I was with my father, and there was a lot of chemical products because it was like that. And it gives different taste, of course, because there is this product to kill the grass give a bit of metallic aromas, and then it was different. I say bad, but different. And this is the biggest difference. And now we have much more efficient tractors to spray, and to spray very much inside the leaves, who have a lot of pressure, air pressure inside the leaf and inside the grape. And then we down very much the dose of the copper and sulfur with these very efficient tractors. About the élevage, we keep the wine in the oak barrels, of course, and I have my recipe after the different tries with different oak from anywhere. I like the wine very smooth, very round. So for the red, I keep the wine on an average of 2 years, 2 years in the oak barrels, with a portion of 20% of new oak barrels, because we really don't want to have an identity of any forest. We don't care. I really want to have the identity of the Clos la Perrière monopole. And then because I have differences inside this Clos monopole, this 5 hectares, I react differently. With for example, on the south part with less new oak barrel and more new oak barrel in the north part. An example, of course. And after, we have a very, very, very special cuvée because we have inside the Clos de la Perrière small forest, a big garden where we have oak, and sometimes we have to cut one. And with this oak from the Clos de la Perrière, we make a barrel. And of course, it's a special cuvée. Clos de la Perrière, Fixin premier cru as well, cuvée Camille, the name of my daughter, of course. So this cellar is from the 12th century, built with this very typical architecture from these monks, Cistercian monks, that you can find nearly everywhere in France or nearly the neighbors Europe. Because these monks was very rich and influenced, have a lot of property, wineries, farm, and it's everywhere. It's on the same system with this architecture, and mostly with this half in the ground cellar, which is not so good for the bottles because you need, as a particular, the same temperature for the bottles, but for the barrels. With this malolactic fermenting, they already see on the 12th century and already react that if you have this, as in the Clos Vougeot, this cellar half in the ground, you have these differences between summer and winter. And then these differences of temperature give a better result on this malolactic fermenting. And yes, this is why we still keep the barrels in the old cellar from the 12th century. About the climate changing, of course, there is this frost, who are really new for us. And there is this warming, we can say. And by my father and great-grandfather or father, the level of alcohol and acid was different than today. For example, they have less than 13 on the alcohol power, and now we have 13 and between 13 and 14, like every year. And the acid down too. The pH high and now the acid down. And then the aromas and the composition of the wine change. And then we have to adapt our techniques. This is why, for example, I use now the whole bunch, the whole cluster fruits inside the vinification. Before, in the beginning of my quarry, I use only the berries of the grape, and now I use the whole fruits, the whole cluster that I put inside the vat, and then it gives me another freshness and a better acidity. Every generation has its own view of the perfect wine, and now with the new techniques and the old techniques, we adapt the wine that we want. Before, they don't know what was a yeast or bacteria, and they adapt their techniques with the press, the strongness of the press, for example, or the different oak barrel. And now we have this knowledge, this scientist knowledge about the yeast, about the terroir, what is a calcareous, what is a clay, and how large is a clay. And of course, this science helps us very much to take the good decision. How good decision? Again, the view of the perfect wine. And each one have this different view, but it's more precise now.